Hey everyone, in today's session, I'll walk you through about AWS Identity and Access Management. So, what is IAM? It's a one stop solution for controlling access, managing identities, and keeping AWS safe. I know this is a lot, but let's understand in detail. So, it's all about centralized access control. So, managing all users and permissions from one place. You don't have to hunt around different accounts or services to figure out who can do what, right? So IAM decides who can access what, like giving specific keys or passes to different employees so they only get into the areas they need. And finally, it keeps your AWS environment secure by controlling permissions carefully. IAM ensures that nobody can accidentally or maliciously access sensitive resources on behalf of you. These are the core components of IAM service. Those are called users, groups, policies, and roles. A user is a straightforward where basically he is a person or an employee who needs an access to an AWS resource. So you can basically create an IAM user and give him some permissions so that he can basically authenticate into any of the particular service. And group is nothing but a collection of users, right? Where they will be having same level of permissions which you have assigned to a group, right? So for example, if you have a DevOps group, there you have bunch of developers and operations team put into a same group, and if you assign some permissions at that group level, the same permission will be applied to all of the users which are present in that group. And AWS IAM role is like a set of permissions that can be assumed by a trusted entity. That means a user, a service, or another AWS account. Roles don't have long term credentials, these are just used for temporary purposes. Okay, so you can create them in IAM console, the roles, policies, users, and groups. Yeah, of course, the policy is nothing but a JSON document that defines the permissions. So those basically tells that what the users can do and who can do what on which resources. So everything will be tracked in the policy. So enough with the theory. Let's get into the action. We'll understand about IAM dashboard, how to create an user, and then assign some permissions to that user, and then we can authenticate into an AWS management console using that new user. Okay, let's get started. Once you head over to the AWS management console, we see an options related to search box where you can find a service called IAM, okay, which is an identity and access management. You can see on the right side there is a star which you can select it to basically have in this taskbar. Okay, so you can see this. These are the list of IAM and other services which I have linked it here so that I can easily access it. Okay, so that's how you can basically go into an IAM service. And once you are into the IAM service, then you can go ahead and create your users. Okay, on the left side you can see we have user groups, users, roles, policies, and identity providers. So these are the main important concepts in IAM. So let's go ahead and create an user. Okay, now we have a Terraform user right now, but let's go ahead and create a test user and see how we can authenticate with that user. Okay, so click on create user, give the username, some username, let's say test username, and provide user access to AWS management console. Yes, we wanted to provide him a management console access. And there are two ways where basically you can create the users. You can create an IAM user here itself. I want to create an IAM user, you can select that button, or you can also create an user in identity center. So this is a kind of another service in AWS which basically talks about single sign-on, or federated users. Identity providers basically use this. So you can also think of it like as an external Okta or a ping identity where you can basically create or authenticate those users into our AWS systems. So this we can see in the later sessions, but right now let's go ahead and create an IAM user. Okay, so let's select this button. And console password, do you really want to generate autogen password or custom password? Let me wanted to give him test at the rate 123. This is a sample password. that I wanted to give to this user. But in real time, you can generate an auto-generated password and let them change their own passwords. Okay. So once the user has been created, I can, after this session, I'll be basically deleting this user anyways. Okay. So user must create a new password and next sign in. I really don't want it, but if you want it, you can make him to create his own password. Okay. So I'll check uncheck this box and then click on move next. Then you can see that there are three ways where you can basically give some permissions to this user. Okay, either you can add the user to a group or a copy permissions or attach policies directly. So we have some AWS managed policies where we can basically assign them directly, so that what kind of permissions this users requires all will be provided in this attached policies directly. You can see here, right? You can select this AWS managed or a customer managed. These are the ones which basically we created, and AWS managed. You can see the symbol here, right? So these are all AWS managed policies. Okay, you can allocate any of the policy to that user so that he'll be having that access. Okay, or you can also copy permissions. That means you can, if you already have some no, users who already have some permissions, and you can copy the same kind of permissions from that user, then still you can do that. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me directly attach the policy right now and do EC2 full access. Okay. So any of the AWS services, either you will be having a full access or maybe you will be having a read-only access. Okay. So I'll be choosing EC2 full access for now and click on next. If you wanted to provide any keys or tags, then you can go ahead and use it. That's actually useful. If you have multiple kind of users and you wanted to filter them out easily, you can quickly do that. But let me go ahead and create a user for now. Okay. Now you can see that console sign-in details. These are the sign-in link. We can basically share this to the user, and the user needs to authenticate with his username called username test. Okay, and then he can also provide console password to log in. Okay, so you can see that the console password is tested the rate 123. So this is how you basically log into the system. Okay, you can also send an email with the sign-in instructions, but for now I'll just copy this link and then I'll open this in a new tab and try to authenticate with that particular uh, you know user credentials. Okay, so that we can see whether he can able to access the EC2 service or not. Okay, so now you can see that it's asking the username, so test, and the password test at the rate 123. Okay, and this is the account ID which automatically gets copied the moment you click on that previous link. Okay, so let's click on sign in. Now you can see that the user got authenticated, and you can see on the right side his name is test. The account details are displayed here. Okay, so we can go ahead and search for a service called EC2 here and perform any kind of activity onto this service, because we have a full EC2 access permissions for that user. So you can create a key pair, you can delete a key pair, you can run an instance, or terminate an instance, or whatever the things you want to do, everything can be done with that permissions. Okay, and if you wanted to get any kind of other information, definitely he's not able to retrieve it, because no, he's having only EC2 permissions, not any other permission. Let's say if you wanted to search for a billing information, now we can see that he's having a issues related to his permissions, right? So that's how IAM policies and the permissions works. Okay, so now we have seen basically how IAM, identity and access management of a user basically works with the corresponding permissions, right? Hope this makes sense now. Now that you have seen a demo related to IAM creation of a user process, so for you a quick task where you can basically create a group and put some users. That means you have to create multiple users and put those users into a group and allocate permission at a group level, so that all the users will be basically having the same level of permissions. Okay, so that's a quick task that you can basically perform it. Okay, and with this, I'll wind up this session and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much for joining today.